Hello there. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to join before I get into analysis of the CD-1 debate. You know, I got to say that I think these debates are awesome. I think it's really, really good that we have them. And let me adjust this a little. And I think it gives everybody an opportunity to see the candidates, learn about the candidates, and make decisions about who they want to vote for. And I'm a big fan of doing as many debates as possible, and so it's a good thing. If you have a question you want me to answer about the debate, just type it in and I'll do my best to answer it and give you my thoughts on the debate. I took notes, so I'll be looking down at my notes, and I did a little scoring chart here that I rated each candidate on. So I'll go through that. And the areas that I look at, who do you think is most viable? Nick, that's a good question. It's one of the things on my list. Winnability is, and I gave each candidate a number for winnability. So I'll talk about that. I have not been to the new Victory office yet, Aiden, but I'll come down and see it. Let's do it. So yeah, I have, let me see here, I have 7 areas. One is winnability, one is authenticity, likability, where they are on the political spectrum. Substance is another, policies, temperament, and then the last one is winnability. So just a few things on this. First of all, I gotta say, I think all of these candidates are really, really good candidates. I think Matt and Caroline and Gail and Tim and Russell are all good candidates. So that's a real benefit that we have so many good choices. I am always concerned, and those who know me know that I'm always concerned about how late our primary is. I mean, September 13th, it's very, very difficult with such a short time period between the primary and the general to pull it, for the winner to pull it together and win the general election. But I think in a congressional race, it's doable. I think it's harder in the U.S. Senate race. So yeah, I think I look forward to the future debates. So let me just say, a few things. I think if you saw my comment, I think there was a missed opportunity with the question on the CHIPS bill. And the missed opportunity is this. In my opinion, if you look at the CHIPS bill and this deceptively named Inflation Reduction Act, on the CHIPS bill, they're giving money away to corporate America. It's corporate welfare. But in the Inflation Reduction Act, they're threatening to take away depreciation from some corporations. And when you take away depreciation from corporation, it takes away a very important financial aspect of creating manufacturing. Because to create manufacturing, you got to buy equipment, and they're threatening to take away from some companies the ability to depreciate that equipment. So it's kind of mindless Washington D.C. stuff where they're giving away money on the one hand, yet they're taking away incentives and giving away money in hopes of creating manufacturing jobs, but taking away incentives in the tax code to in fact invest in the equipment and the property needed for manufacturing jobs. And I think if a candidate could have talked about that, that would have, in my opinion, demonstrated a lot of depth of knowledge of substance. On authenticity, I felt like Tim Baxter was the most authentic, and followed by Gail and Caroline, and then followed by Russell and Matt. So that's how I viewed authenticity, which I think is a very important factor. The likability factor, I think they're all very likable. I rated them all the same except Tim. I rated him a little lower on likability. I think Tim is a little bit too angry when he talks, and I think that decreases his likability. Where are they on the political spectrum? And what I did with this is the more conservative, the higher I rated somebody. The less conservative, I rated them lower. And I think Tim's the most conservative, followed by Caroline, and then Gail and Russell I rate about the same, then Matt Mowers. Substance, I rated Matt the highest on substance, then Tim Baxter, and then Gail, Caroline, and then Russell. And if you have any questions, just type them in. I'd be glad to answer them. The policies, I rated them all the same. I think on policy-wise, they're pretty much saying the same thing. Very little differences there. Temperament, I rated Gail the highest. And then next I had Matt, Caroline, and Russell next, tied. And then Tim was the lowest on temperament, and that goes to, he just comes across as a bit angry. Then winnability, I mean, I in my opinion believe the candidate that has the best chance of beating Chris Pappas is Caroline, and I think the others are about the same. So that's how I rated it. Prescott and top of Mowers on a couple of these. Actually, the only one that Prescott is higher than Mowers is the political spectrum one, which again, I just think Russell's more conservative than Matt. So that's the only one. It's it's more of a political spectrum kind of factor. So on all the other ones, Matt was higher than Russell. They tied on a few policies. They tied on. So just the political spectrum one, and I do think there's some vulnerabilities on each of these candidates. I think Caroline, is young. I think that's both a benefit and a vulnerability. I think some people think she might be too young. I don't think so, but some people might. I think Tim's vulnerability is, again, he's got that sort of angry aspect of him. Some people might like that. I think I try to look at this from the perspective of the average voter, in a general election. And we in order to win, have to get those independents. That's the average voter who don't pay attention to stuff like you all and me. So where was I? So I think Caroline, I think her youth is both a strength and a weakness. Gail, she's obviously very experienced, been in politics. a long time. Her husband's been in politics. She knows her way around the block. You know, she's comfortable in front of the camera. You know, I worry sometimes about, you know, Gail's passion and commitment to some issues. But I think she did good tonight. Hi, Joe. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. You know, Tim, he's super passionate, and that's really, really, really good. You know, I wish he would just sand off the edges a little bit, and I think that would really help him. And by the way, all these comments, if any of the candidates were to call me, I would share them, my opinions. And keep in mind, this is all subjective and merely my opinion. You know, Russell, he's obviously very experienced. He's done a lot of in his life, a successful businessman. He's been in state politics a long time. I think he needs more energy and passion and get up and go, and to really connect with the voters. Matt, you know, super smooth politician. Obviously, he's been around the block for his age. He's been through this before. You know, he knows the subject matter. He's very articulate. He's very good at explaining his position on things. I think Matt has some vulnerabilities. In fact, I think I'm going to call Matt and talk to him about one that I see that, in fact, I don't even want to talk about it on here because I don't want to give the Democrats any, you know, any hints. But yeah, given personality, who you believe can stick to their vows and up. This Lorraine Lindenberg asked a great question. And I think this is, you know, is such an important factor. And it's basically who can stick to their values and not be bullied into going along to get along. Great question, Lorraine. Thank you for asking that. I think that's might be the most important trait for somebody, because it's you get to Washington D.C. and you know, you get into that swamp and the corruption of it, and most people get seduced by it, and most people get sucked into it, and then it becomes politically internally within the House, and do you get on this committee, that committee, where's your office, you know, and people get sucked into the corruption of Washington D.C. So who do I think is most likely to really stick to their values? I would have to say probably Tim Baxter for one. I would put Caroline at number 2 in that category. Russell probably number 3, and then Gail and Matt. And so great question. That's my knee-jerk reaction to it. I think it's a super important question because we need people in Washington D.C. who in fact are going to stick to their values and not get sucked into what happens in Washington D.C. Great question, Lorraine. Thank you for it. You know, a few other things about this. I thought on the whole border security thing, I think Matt did a really good job with that. I wish someone would have pointed out that this whole thing, this is funny, that with Biden now finishing a portion of the wall in Arizona, and the rationale that the Biden administration is giving is there's these areas in Arizona where it's very dangerous to cross. So they want to put up the wall to deter people from crossing there. So guess what the Biden administration just did? They admitted that walls work. They admitted that walls work. And now the reason for it is not what I like. I mean, the wall should be built to keep everybody out and to deter everybody from coming here. not to deter some for safety reasons, although safety is important. And you should watch, I did a Facebook Live on the whole border situation and how the Biden policy is not humane and not compassionate. So that's that. Are there any other questions? And if not, I know if you've been watching the debate, you've been on there for an hour and a half, and I don't want to drone on here, but I'll answer any questions you might have, and any thoughts, anything you want me to discuss. I'm glad to do it. I think another missed opportunity is the energy question. And I think I would have liked the candidates to include in that answer the climate change motivations and their opinions on that whole situation with climate change. And I'm going to do a Facebook Live on climate change. And let me just to throw a teaser out here is, of course, the climate is changing. The climate has always changed on Earth. It's a very dynamic system. The extent to which man is contributing to that climate change, I think it's little to none that man is contributing to it. That's what the scientists call anthropogenic climate change, man-made caused climate change. And I'm not a scientist, but what I'm going to do during that Facebook Live is talk about people you can look to who are scientists that provide some really, really valuable information based on data about the anthropogenic climate change and whether it's real or not, and if it's real, how much, and so there's a little teaser on that. Well, listen, I don't see any other questions, and I know you all want to get back to doing things, and thanks for joining. And Nick, good question. Have I financially contributed to any of the candidates? I have not contributed to any of the candidates. So yes, will I be supporting state candidates after the primary? Yes, I am actually supporting some state candidates pre-primary. How's the PAC doing? What kind of involvement? We're doing great. We've been putting out ads. I think we've put out 4 or 5 ads. We've really, the New Hampshire Advantage PAC, as it's called, has put out ads targeting independent voters to move them to vote Republican. And we've had great data on those ads. I am helping Katie Pertnell here in Wolfboro pre-primary. She's running for state rep in Wolfboro, and so I'm helping her, and the PAC is helping her now. So yes, we're involved. I've given some money to state candidates, and the PAC has, but right now we're focused on talking to the middle to get them vote Republicans, and we're helping Katie. Sure, Nick, anytime. And again, Nick's comment here, this was interesting to hear my point of view, and it's simply my point of view. I mean, it's my opinion. And I wouldn't expect anyone to agree with all of my opinions. I mean, that's just not the way it works. Aiden, Katie's awesome, absolutely awesome. And the PAC, the New Hampshire Advantage PAC, go to our page if you want to donate. Right now I'm funding mostly everything. We got a few donations. Katie is awesome. She's a nurse, a mother, a farmer, a really, really good person, really level-headed, common sense. She would be a great addition to be a state rep for Republicans. So yes, I've got one of her signs right out here, in fact, on the lakeside, so people boating can see it. Any other questions or comments? All right, so listen, thank you so much, and I hope I didn't miss any of the questions. If I did, I apologize. If I missed a question you have, type it again, and I'll answer it, so I'll give everyone a minute or so. Oh, the other thing while we're waiting is I'm trying to get each candidate on a Facebook Live with me. And one at a time, it'll be one-on-one with that candidate and me. I hope they all agree to do it. And I mean, it's gonna be a flowing kind of format. It's not gonna be, me asking them trick questions. Of course, I'll ask them some questions, but I want to have just an open discussion, and I think that's a really good way for people to get to know candidates. So, the New Hampshire Advantage PAC staff is reaching out to all the candidates to see if they're willing to do that. And I'm going to try to do it CD-1, CD-2 in the U.S. Senate race. And by the way, I'm going to be doing one of these on the CD-2 debate from the other night. And we'll announce that, and you can listen into my thoughts on that debate. Well, listen, I think that's enough of post-debate analysis, and thank you for joining. And if you have any other questions, shoot me an email, corkymessner@gmail.com. Thanks so much, and have a great evening.